let me see if, final thing here. This is something that I wanted to circle back to, then we'll get hopefully into some more dating topics. I have to follow up on this. You said woman, not a real thing.
Oh, here we go.
So I think it might be helpful here. Why don't we what is a woman?
A woman is someone who personally identifies as one.
A woman is someone
so
who identifies
insulting.
as a woman. Wait, guys, do me a favor here. I'm going to fix your mics one more time. Leave them where they are. Move your mic to the very edge of the table, please. All right, scoot your mic that way, please. A little less, and just keep it at the edge. Okay. So, a woman is someone who identifies as a woman?
Yes.
Okay, here, we'll go around the table. What's your definition?
Of a woman?
Yeah, what's a woman? What is a woman?
I believe that. I'm a little bit. I'm self-conflicted. I can't lie. I believe that a woman is someone who has reproductive. I believe that a woman is someone who has reproductive organs, and I believe sharing the struggles that women have went through. That is what defines a woman.
All right. What about you?
One of two genders in the Homo sapiens species.
Okay. What about you?
Ooh, you caught me off guard.
Here. Just
a
focus
female.
on the convo. Don't be reading.
Female is a female, and a male is male. That's it.
A female is a female?
Yeah,
So
and a male.
woman is a female?
Yes.
Okay. What about you?
To me, a woman could be a mother. It could be truly anyone, but like a woman, to me, it's a mother.
Well, not all women have children.
Well, children. I don't really know. Like.
Okay. What about you? What is a woman?
A woman is one of two genders. You're either born male or you're born female. And if you're born female, you're a woman.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah, a woman is one of two genders, a female. She has a uterus and gives birth
Okay.
to human being.
All right. What about you?
I would say the same as the last two.
Okay. I think a woman is an adult human female. So a woman is just somebody who identifies. So if I identified as a woman right now, I would be a woman?
I think that if it was true to yourself, if you genuinely believed that, sure. I think that if you right now were to say it in order to try and make a point, none of us know your intentions, truthfully, internally. So if someone identifies as a woman, I'll always treat them as such because I would much rather, the amount of LGBTQ people, but specifically transgender people who have mental health issues, who face discrimination, who kill themselves is, so disproportionate from straight people. And I personally would never run that risk. If someone tells me they're a woman, then I am treating them as such. If that's not true to themselves, then it is their morality on the line. It is their, they're the ones betraying themselves.
So we should affirm people's identity?
Yes.
Okay. So my identity happens to be, and it would cause severe mental harm to me if you denied my identity. I believe I'm the right person on this issue. Like, I believe I'm correct. I would like you to affirm my identity as the correct person on this issue.
Would you mind if we could quickly define identity? Because I think we have different definitions.
Just the way in which I identify. What's your definition, though?
An identity is something fundamental to who you are, a building block of your character, not your stance on an argument.
Well, this is fundamental to who I am, that I'm correct on
your
every
stance
single thing.
on this argument?
It's fundamental to who I am, that I am correct on every single thing I say. Nobody else can defy this. I am 100% right on every single thing, and I would like you to affirm my identity as the correct person on this issue and all issues.
We clearly have different understandings of what an identity is, and that's all right.
What do you mean? That's how I identify, as the correct person.
See, it's a fun argument to make because, it makes transgender people sound so insane when you compare them to something like that. But that's not the claim that they're making. No one is sitting there, taking extremes like that and just trying to, be unreasonable. People just identify with different genders.
You're saying we should do this because if we don't do this, it would harm them.
No, I'm saying that, if it, well, I personally, the way that I like to go through my life, and I'm not saying anyone else has to live like this, but if something isn't causing harm to me or anyone else and it makes that person feel comfortable, I am always going to align with it.
Well, how about this? All conservative people feel very strongly about their political positions.
Yes, and I believe that
And
is
it-
harming
and it-
other people.
Well, hold on.
Yes.
But it causes harm to conservative people when people disagree with their identity as a conservative person.
Sure.
And they don't get their political will. Laws are passed that are in contravention of their desires and their wants. And sometimes it creates economic harm. It can even, going against certain political wills of conservative people will, you allow certain, say, you're not going to like this argument, but allowing unfettered illegal immigration, like not all illegal immigrants are violent criminals, but some of them are, and this will allow people into the country who will either like sexually assault women, or just kill people, whether man, woman, female, whatever. This does create harm, and you not affirming my identity as correct, for example, on the immigration issue, actually causes palpable harm, and I would like you to align with my political ideology.
I see where your misunderstanding is. My goal
There's
is
no
not
misunderstanding.
my goal is not harm reduction.
I would like you to affirm my position and my political identity as it relates to illegal immigration, because I believe illegal immigration causes harm.
Yes, my goal here is not to make you feel comfortable at all costs. As I said in my initial
But
claim,
it causes me harm.
sure, that's fine. In my initial
so
claim,
causing harm is okay.
in my initial claim, if someone's identity is explicitly not causing harm to me or others, as I said, then I will affirm it because it doesn't matter. That, in my opinion, is causing harm, so I will not affirm it for your sake. I don't.
Okay, so hold on. But in all circumstances, must we affirm somebody's if somebody's transgender, must we affirm?
Well, as I said, I don't think everyone needs to go through life the way that I do. I personally will because
But can I ask you, if it causes harm to the transgender individual to bar them from playing in women's sports?
Ooh, I was waiting for it.
Well, I think it's fair to say that transgender individuals can experience that same level of harm if we bar them from participating in women's sports. Should we allow them to participate in women's sports?
Well, I personally think we should.
Okay. But you do acknowledge the differences in physical strength between
Yes.
men and women?
I also acknowledge the difference in physical strength by person to person. Every single person has some kind of genetic disadvantage or advantage for different sports, and we have never cared before until it comes to being able to discriminate.
Right, but if it was the case, for example, that transgender women are leaps and bounds more physically, like just completely physically stronger, like you don't think if it was the case, let's say there was a massive representation of transgender women in sports. And I know, look, transgender people, small proportion of the
Yes.
population, so of course they're never going to be like a majority of women playing in women's sports. Wouldn't it be fair, or do you think it would be unfair if it happened to end up eventually being the case that transgender women took first, second, third place across all of women's sports? You don't think that wouldn't raise in your head like any sort of red flag as to like a completely unfair disadvantage?
Maybe it would, but that's not what's happening because estrogen does make, like estrogen supplements that trans women take does make them weaker.
So just to be clear, you think the only difference between males and females is the,
Testosterone.
No, it's the endocrine system. You think all it takes to become a woman is to make to do a chemical change to your endocrine system?
That is a big leap from what I said, and I did not make that claim.
Well, you said estrogen.
Well, estrogen does make trans women weaker. So as they are taking those supplements, it is not like a man competing against a woman. It is not the same
it's
thing.
still a male competing against a female. But so you think that there's no verifiable differences in strength?
I did not say that either. We're jumping to extremes.
Well, you're saying you're referencing estrogen.
Yes.
So okay, then it is your position that trans women still maintain male strength, I guess.
To
whatever.
some extent. My
so they
argument
should be
here
barred.
is do trans women have an advantage in certain sports? Keep in mind, strength is not always the only
All
deciding
sports.
factor. Not necessarily.
You do realize that men outcompete women in every single sport there is. The only one, there's, I believe, one specific long distance event where
The skiing
women,
one? The skiing one where they look kind of silly? Is that what we're talking about?
No, there's a long distance running event where women just slightly will out-edge men. So women apparently have like some advantage in one specific event. If you look at all Olympic events, you look at, fighting, she's a boxer, for example, women just can't compete with men.
So on that note, I would like to say there are gymnastic skills that men can't even compete in, that they don't compete in the Olympics. There are gymnastic skills that women don't even compete in because they are tailored to their strengths. So, I mean, like, to say that a trans woman would dominate in women's gymnastics is absurd. They would not. They would have a huge disadvantage.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and grant that there are like certain gymnastics things that like women do, men do. For example, I don't know what the move is. I don't know if anybody's familiar with gymnastics, like the one where men do the cross. Or
there are things all across the board.
Or whatever. Like women just don't have the physical capacity, even like trained gymnasts, to do like certain upper body maneuvers that male gymnasts can do. So, but I'll go ahead and grant that, yes. How about like the other 99% of athletic endeavors where men completely would dominate women if they were to compete together?
Okay, I'd like to pose a question. Could I ask?
No, answer my question first, then pose your question.
Okay, my response to that is every single individual has different genetic advantages and disadvantages, some more extreme than others. It has never been in conversation before. It has never been a question of who naturally has the biggest lung capacity in swimming, because we can't measure things like that, and it's not.
Yes, we can.
Well, okay, sure, we can. Yes, that's actually a great point. Okay, we can. No, I mean individual to individual. Can we determine Michael Phelps's lung capacity compared to a different Olympian and then claim whether or not he was born with an advantage or not? Those things have never mattered before. We've never posed those questions because we understand that humans are biologically always going to be different and have different strengths and weaknesses. It only becomes a problem when people don't want transgender people competing.
But men are physically stronger than women, and men have certain physiological characteristics that make them better athletes.
Sure, and certain men are able to gain muscle easier because of their genetics than other men.
Yes, some men have, but my argument would be when you're looking at elite athletes, the best male athletes will always predominate over the best female athletes. Like, you have a woman who used to play in the WNBA. If LeBron James played in the WNBA, he could probably fucking play solo against the WNBA and fucking smoke him.
Yeah, this is the question I would actually like to pose. In the WNBA, I'm assuming that you are competing with women who weren't all your exact height. Can we make that assumption?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, generally the lower end of that scale?
This is
Give me a
irrelevant.
guess. It's okay.
This is irrelevant, but probably like 5'6" to 6'8".
If you were to do a 1v1 match with a 5'6" woman, do you think that you would have a genetic advantage?
Maybe, maybe not in some ways, because she probably would be quicker in some ways.
Wait.
But that is not, she's going to be quicker in some ways, but that's not the question. The question is, I'm a 6'6" female, right? I have been the best of the best at every level since high school. Mm-hmm. When I was the best of the best in high school, what did I do? I went down to the rec and I played against average guys. Why? Because they were stronger than me, they were faster than me, they were bigger than me, but they could compete against me. Even though I was the best of the best, they were average guys. The best of the best women's college basketball teams, they compete against average guys. They practice against average guys. Why? Because the guys make us better. Same with the pros. We compete against not pro guys, average guys. Why? Because they're stronger, faster, and they make us better.
So one thing related to that, so if she was competing against a 5'8" professional male NBA player, that even though you're 6'6", that 5'8" player would probably beat her. I mean, look, basketball's a team game, but like in a one-on-one. So currently, I just Googled this. The shortest player currently in the NWA. That's a fucking, what the fuck? NBA, excuse me. I'm thinking about rap for some reason. The shortest player currently in the NBA is Yuki Kawamura of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's 5'8". He would beat, like, she's retired, right? He would beat probably the best female NBA player. I don't care how tall she is. Men and women are just built different. Like men and women, and you know, we see this in not just the NBA, we see this in soccer, for example, or football in Europe. They will take the women's national team here, the U.S. professional women's team. This is the most elite, best women's soccer players. They will compete against under 15 boy teams. Like, so the best under 15. They will lose shutout, like 8-0. The boys will beat the professional adult women. We see this in all kinds of sports. Men are they're stronger. They have, and it's physiological.
Yes.
It's
I've
just-
never denied that.
Right.
My question here is, why is that where we draw the line? No one has ever cared about genetic advantages before. It has never been a question before.
Because it's across the board with men and women. We're talking about men and women. It's across the board. Men are at a much higher threshold of strength. But let's take sports off the table for a quick second, because you made a claim that another claim that doesn't make any sense to me. And you're saying it doesn't hurt anybody. How do you know it doesn't hurt anybody, them being affirming their identity? I'll give you a quick story. I travel a lot for work. I went through, and you know how in the airport, women get searched from women by women, men get searched by men, right? So I go through the alarm, I alarm. My pants alarm. And so they need to, touch me in the private areas. Now, the woman who comes to search me is very clearly a man, was very clearly born a man who put on a wig and some lipstick, right? So this woman is coming to search me in my private areas. What did, quote unquote, she ask me? Would you like me to do it out here or take you back there? Because that's what they do when they have to search you in the private areas. In that moment, I had a choice. I had to decide, okay, I see this person as a man. He really sees himself as a woman. It's very obvious what he was born as. As someone who has experienced sexual assault in the past, I know that allowing myself to be pat down in this area by a physical man is probably going to trigger something. But I have to decide, okay, so am I allowed for myself to be touched in this way by a physical man? Or am I going to say, no, thank you, realizing that that means that I'm not affirming whoever he thinks he is and potentially causing some type of mental disturbance. His rights, whose rights are more important? His rights or my rights to be frisked by a woman?
Sure. Now, I completely understand where you're coming from. I would like to make it clear, my initial point that I have now restated a couple times is, so long as it does not cause harm to yourself or others, I believe that I would like to affirm people. That is a situation where it explicitly does cause harm to you. People have trauma from things. People can't control their traumatic reactions. Regardless, even if you did believe that she was a woman, then it still could cause something because you're aware that she was born a man, right? And you are completely within your right to ask for someone else. There is nothing wrong with that. It's not about affirming their gender. I do, however, think that when you're telling this story, it's very unnecessary to get just rude about it. When you say that, he's a man who put on a wig and lipstick, you're more than welcome. You are more than welcome to not refer to her as a woman. It's none of my business. People hold their own opinions. However, I think to intentionally throw in comments that cause no purpose other than to be hateful is at that point just rude, just negative.
Wait,
So
can I
Charlie
ask
Kirk
something?
is
hateful, and now she's hateful.
Well,
because
no,
she's
but I do
stating
think
something
that if
Can I ask something?
He was literally a man who put on a wig and lipstick. That's not me.
I would have
That's
said
a
that too,
fact.
just so
Yeah.
you know.
That's a fact. He was born a man, put on a wig and lipstick, and decided to call himself a woman. And because of that, I'm supposed to let him go in between my legs in front of people?
I explicitly said that you should ask for someone else.
Right. You said I could ask for somebody else. But in his mind and in his employer's mind, it was okay because he's now a woman.
And you're able to ask
I
for
was
someone
not-
else.
But I wasn't being hateful. I was saying
No.
a fact. But now you're calling me hateful because I stated a fact.
I'm saying that after you have explicitly made it clear that she was a trans woman, you've said that you don't believe that she's a real woman. That's all fair. That is none of my business. But the statement that you made, it didn't convey any information. It didn't progress the story. It didn't prove a point. It was purely put in there to offend someone. That
So
was the
now you're assuming my intention of why I
What
put it in
other
there.
purpose did that statement serve?
You are assuming my intention.
Can I
in
ask you
putting
your
it in
intention
there.
then, so I'm not assuming? What
To
was
describe this person.
you already had very well?
In your opinion, I described him very
Okay.
well. But you cannot assume my intention as why I put in that detail of that story.
Okay.
And so for you to say, oh, well, we should affirm, that's the problem, is that whose rights come first? Who's right? Because you just told me I was hateful for not affirming him and to say that he was wearing, to say that he was wearing a wig and some lipstick. You just said I was hateful.
Okay.
What is to stop him from saying that because I don't affirm his choice to be a woman and ask for someone else, what is to stand in the way of him saying then I am hateful about that in that way?
She is more than welcome to have whatever opinions she would like
You
about
said
you.
it again, same as the abortion. You said
At
it
the
right
end of the
first
day,
time.
everyone is going to have whatever opinions they want about you, and that cannot rule your own self-perception.
And does not.
In the same way that you don't believe she's a woman, it should not rule her self-perception, right? You are more than entitled to your own opinion. I'm not telling you have to affirm her gender. That's not what I said. My claim was just that unnecessary rude comments. We don't need to do it. But I think that you are more than welcome to not view her as a woman. It's none of my business.
Lol Paladins donated $200.
Yo, sorry for the delay on this.
I'll revise.
Sorry for the delay.
Put on your hijab and stop socializing with men outside of your family if you want to identify as Syrian. You enjoy your Starbucks pink drink just like every other basic blonde joyful.
Now that's a rude comment.
We can agree on that one.
Stating fact, I don't think it's a rude comment, but that was kind of rude.
Okay, we can come
Sorry
to
for
a
the
compromise
delay.
there.
Donated $200.
Sorry for the delays, guys.
Ladies, are you really going to sit there and let a woman compare Charlie Kirk to Hitler? Step up, defend human decency. Charlie was a good and honorable man regardless if you agreed with him or not.
I think some of the girls did kind of scoff at the Hitler comparison for Charlie Kirk, but
I mean, we
Have
just,
you- I
would like
we
to
just
say-
moved on. I have other
I'm
things
sorry,
to
I
say,
would
but we
very
just moved
quickly
on.
like to just say, as frustrating as it is getting to repeat myself constantly, I did start that argument by saying explicitly, I am not comparing the two, and that is not my intention. I really don't want to have to keep saying the same things.
But why did you invoke it if you weren't trying to draw some sort of comparison?
Again,
It
as
shouldn't even
I
have brought-
have
different
already
You brought his name
explained,
up first.
They're
once
different
more,
universes.
as I have already explained, I think 3 times now, the question was brought up so that I could understand if you believed that there is a threshold of evil someone can reach to justify assassination. That was why I was curious.
Which you were using to say that Charlie Kirk crosses into the threshold of
I was
justified
not.
assassination.
No, I was wondering, because the thing is, if you would argue, no, there is no threshold, then there's no point in that discussion. I would understand where you're coming from on that, and I would understand that we can't come to terms there, right? Because I think that there is a threshold, right? But we agreed on it, so then that led into a different conversation. It was not in order to make a point. It wasn't to make a claim on Kirk's morality. It didn't serve any of those purposes.
So, but I guess my confusion there, isn't it just granted and a given that, I mean, perhaps it's worthy of an inquiry, but isn't it just kind of like basic common knowledge that most people would say, yes, there is a threshold? Like, for example, need I ask you, do you think most people enjoy breathing air?
Okay.
Like, is that even a question worthy
What we have to understand is the conversation beforehand was leading to a place where I became unsure if we were agreeing on that point. And if we had disagreed, that's okay. I just was becoming unsure of your stance on it, and
Well, there are people monstrous enough that, yes, there is justification for killing them.
Okay, yes, some people would disagree with that, believe it or not.
Like, for example, here's a threshold, self-defense. If somebody's trying to kill you, you can kill them.
Yes.
And then in wartime, yeah, that the whole concept of war is we try to kill your soldiers, your leaders, you try to kill our soldiers. Like that's the basis of war. Charlie Kirk is a civilian. He's not a soldier.
I understand.
It's not wartime. He's a citizen of the United States. So drawing this comparison of, well, okay, if there's a belligerent outside nation and army, it's completely incomparable. Now, if you were to tell me, like, you could ask me, Brian, is there anyone in the United States who you think, I'm trying to think, if there's anyone in the, well, obviously there's certain people who are like on death row and they've committed, like, provably committed atrocities. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. But even then, I'm actually, in some ways, I do object to some degree to the death penalty. So I have objections there, but I mean, these are very different things. When my objection to the death penalty, even though there are some people who, you know, conceivably do deserve to be put to death for the crimes they've provably committed, my concern with the death penalty is there are people who have been wrongly convicted of crimes. There are people who have been put to death who did not commit the crime. And so I think under that basis, like, look, if you put someone in prison, obviously it's terrible if they didn't actually commit the crime. They're wrongfully convicted. Terrible. But at least we can free them. You know, we can come back from that. Death is final. So if we put someone to death who didn't commit the crime, there's no coming back from that. That is a major injustice. So that's my justification for being against the death penalty. But again, it's not wartime. Charlie Kirk is a citizen of the United States. He's not a soldier. He's not even a politician. He has he had massive amounts of political influence. Anyways, here I need to shift it back because we've been talking about some of this stuff too long. We gotta talk to some of the other panelists here. We have some chats coming through though. Sharky McSharkface. Stop saying pro-choice. That implies you support everyone's freedom to make choices about anything in general, such as getting abortions, vaxes, guns. It's just pro-abortion, not pro-choice. Okay. Well, I think it's fair when you're having these conversations to use the term that the other side or the side, how they want to be referenced as. So in this case, pro-choice people want to be referred to as pro-choice. Pro-life people want to be called pro-life. So I don't think it's fair to do this bias thing where, okay, well, you're pro-murdering babies and I'm not. You know, it's like you have to be charitable and grant the title or the label or whatever. Otherwise, the other side would just say, well, you're not pro-life. You're pro-restricting women's bodies or whatever, some bullshit like that. So you got to be charitable to both sides. Okay, we have Charles Sterling. It never mattered before because we never had men trying to compete in women's sports or going into women's bathrooms in the past. Also, by the way, the men's division is open. It's not if you're a woman and you want to compete with men, there's actually nothing barring women competing from men. It's just the reality that they can't.
Okay.
They can't.
If women aren't choosing to compete against men, I'm not going to tell them to.
You do acknowledge, though, if we're looking at world records, gold medalists in the Olympics, for example. For example, a lot of these sports, men's in races, sprint, for example, men who don't even qualify to run in the Olympics would get gold medals if they competed against women.
I cannot imagine that is true. I understand they have genetic advantages.
You know the website I'm talking about? Oh, Nick's on it. So this is track and field and swimming. There's other stuff too. So
this is boysversuswomen.com.
Yeah, so this is comparing just male high school athletes versus female Olympians. So these are elite level women versus top high school athletes. If boys win against the fastest women, is it fair for males to compete in female only athletics? So you see the columns there, boys, women. Mm-hmm. Those are all the medals that high school boys would steal from women if those high school boys.
What is this based on?
Why aren't you chiming in?
Wait,
like histogram of placing.
Wait. it's not
is
just
this-
based on like conjecture and random like
I'm
thoughts.
genuinely asking, what is this based
So
on?
do you know when you do, okay, really simple, you know when you do a race and they have a timer?
Yes.
And they keep a
So
record.
you're
Hold
on-
on.
yeah.
There's literally, it's not just like vibes and feel goodsies.
Yes.
They keep robust records of race times. So they hit the stopwatch.
Yes. I understand how a
So
stopwatch
you realize
works.
time is an objective measurement?
Yeah, so is this all just to say that they're faster? This is all to say that that's
Men-
based on their
Men are
times.
faster. They're stronger.
Well, no, I understand. I'm saying my answer to the question is just that it's based on their running times.
There's
Correct.
also higher hurdles for men. There's also bigger balls for them, longer fields, bigger courts. Like
I
all
feel
of
the
it.
need to reiterate. Let's just say that we separated populations in the way that we separate men and women by people who have super long legs and people who don't. Do you think one of those groups can jump higher? Yes, probably. Right? And they probably shouldn't compete in the same division. But we're not separating people based off of that, even if they have a huge advantage.
We actually do. We separate them by grade level. We separate them by age. We separate them by weight class. Exactly.
So are
we-
you
so
trying
we
to tell me,
actually
I'm
do.
sorry, are you trying to tell me that that means, say, oh, I don't know, the Olympic
And
scoring
do you
well enough to
know
make that
how
point.
prideful it is to actually argue with a pro athlete about this, who spent their entire life
She played in the
playing
WNBA.
Yes, I understand, but I
sports?
don't think that that gives her total and complete jurisdiction over genetic disadvantages and advantages.
No,
It
it
her
doesn't.
First,
She lived it.
First-hand anecdotal experience, and she said that she played against men.
She also made the claim that a 5'6" man would beat her in a game, which I don't think he would.
I've played many men, and he might not. But that man is an average
Here,
man,
let's frame it like-
and I am far from an average woman.
Let's frame it like this. Question for you.
What?
I think so.
Can we be
she? One sec. She guys. Okay, what you want to talk about? Fucking whores and shit. Whatever. This is more interesting. So, anyways, to your point, I think she could beat some men who are 5'8". Absolutely, she could.
I
And
think
have.
she could beat plenty.
But here's the question. She was an elite level WNBA player. Could she beat a 5'8" NBA player? The answer to that is no. And would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that. And I would also agree that, yes, as an elite athlete, I am going to beat some average men and have. But is your average 5'8" woman going to beat your average 5'8" man? No. It is going to take a higher level of woman as far as athleticism. Like Serena Williams is going to go to your average tennis court and beat every man there. But
Yes.
she's Serena Williams. Like, your average woman is not going to do that.
Also,
And
so yeah, and she's one of the best female players, but if she was ranked among the men, she admitted this herself. Serena, was it Venus or I don't know which one.
With
the two
Serena.
sisters. She would rank like 400. If she was ranking with the men, she said, "Oh yeah, I would maybe rank in the 400s."
Then why aren't trans people dominating? Trans people are competing and they are not dominating.
Wait, there are examples of trans people dominating.
There are examples of trans people winning. Many trans people are losing. The trans people in sports who are not dominating at their sport aren't being spoken about because
You
they
wanted to
aren't
weigh
used
in?
as ammunition.
I'm letting her final thought for her. Then I got to move it on. I got to go ahead.
So I am definitely more left-leaning in my ideologies, but I do have to agree. I have been boxing since I was fighting around since I was around 9 years old, and one time I sparred my fiance, and it went on for about 45 minutes, and I was bedridden for about 2 weeks. And my technique, there's nothing, well, of course there's flaws within my technique, but regarding fighting, I am a better fighter, and he beat my ass. And he had only like 1 year of boxing experience. So like men do have the upper hand, like biological males absolutely do have the upper hand within sparring and sports in general. And I
Yes.
feel that maybe we should not be mixing the two biologically, because I do feel, as a fighter myself and an athlete, it's not fair. I feel that
Also,
way.
for combat sports like her, it's not just somebody else wins the medal. She goes up against trans woman, but that person could still reasonably have like the physiology, perhaps a slightly weakened state of the physiology of a male. She's getting broken orbital bones. She's literally it's literally harming certain combat athletes if you allow them to compete against a man.
Two things I would like to say on that. I'm not going to speak on combat sports because I think that is purely strength-based. And when it's purely strength-based, I'm not going to claim that. I like, obviously people still have genetic advantages and disadvantages,
men are faster, like just forget strength. Men
sure. Combat sports,
too.
I'm not making a claim on whether or not
sport.
what's
Okay.
going on there. But I would also like to say, I would hope, obviously I've never boxed, I don't know how boxing works, but my understanding of it is it's an athlete's responsibility to understand the force that they are using and to not actually seriously harm people.
Whoa, wait, hold on. The literal, wait, no.
Do you
Hold
think
on.
that they're going to kill each other? Like, people are capable of killing each other. But if you're in a box,
when you're in like an action, like there's a difference between sparring, but
and we're talking about sparring, are we not?
When you're in a fight.
No. When you're in actual,
I said I will not comment on whether or not they should be actually competing.
Hold on, no. But to your point about, don't the boxers and UFC fighters, aren't they like holding back? No,
I did not reference UFC fights. We were discussing sparring. I'm discussing her fight.
No. You're talking about
Sure.
Obviously, in sparring, you shouldn't be trying to hurt your sparring partner. But when an actual fight, they're trying to knock you out.
Yeah, which is a different conversation that I said I will not comment on.
Why would you even bring?
I wanted to discuss. I wanted to say the fact that in sparring.
Oh, you're walking this back so much.
Sure.
No, in UFC, I don't care if you're a female fighter, male fighter. The goal is to. You're trying to hurt the person, because if I can knock this person out and by extension give them brain damage, or if I can, fucking like pretty much destroy their knee, the fight's over. They can't potentially give me brain damage. So in combat sports, the stakes are massive. Yes, these people are punching with the full force in an effort. This person needs to be on the ground. I'm going to defend myself so it doesn't happen to me. Yes, that's crazy.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm hopping on real quick. I don't know what you guys think sparring is, but like you go all out. At least my gym makes me. I remember one time, Ellie, if you're watching, hello, I made my sparring partner Ellie throw up, and then another time she almost gave me a damn near concussion.
You have to tell them also that they have to have you matched with, like, if Ellie were to sit out or not be there, she can't spar.
I can't spar. Like, it's even.
Some people do like go full blown in sparring.
That's what we have to, yeah.
But typically, I'd say typically with combat sports, when you're sparring, people will pull their punches a bit, but also in combat sports, the UFC specifically, they're like, you keep going until the ref pulls you off. So you'll see a guy in the UFC, for example, like the guy's clearly close to being incapacitated or is knocked out. You'll see the guys, because they need to make sure they finish the fight. Because there are situations where they think they get the knockout, they do some big walk-off, and it's like, nope, the fight keeps going, then he ends up getting knocked out. In the UFC, the guys will continue punching until the ref pulls them off. Now, some guys will demonstrate some degree of sportsmanship and be like, okay, I've clearly knocked this person out, it's over. But you'll often see the guys keep punching until the ref ends the fight.